Fake news, there is a couple of things we have to think or rethink. Is fake news situation or a fact related to the current existence of social media, able to disperse and to make one opinion, one statement, one phrase, or one idea immediately universal in this phenomenon of viralization, or it has to do with some kind of a spirit of our time. In my view, both issues are influential on the spreading of this phenomenon. Of course, we are coming back to the fact that now a simple statement made by a person not particularly a specialist or having a good knowledge on any field could launch to the social media and be spread universally. In my view, it has to do with a kind of esprit de temps, the spirit of our current time, in which, in my view, we are coming back to many irrationalist trends that Europe and the Western world experienced during the 19th century. We are abandoning, apparently, a world driven by rationalism, and we are entering in a world, especially in the public life, more related to irrationalism. That means sentimental feelings, to do politics with the guts and not with the neurons, and the spreading of the ideas of identity. You know what happened in the late 25, 30 years is the abandoning of what we have called the big narratives, the ideologies in the hard sense of the idea, in which a very simple set of ideas could orderly express our view on the world. That means religion, socialism, ecology. This is a set of ideas that could put the person on the world in a way that is easy for this person to have an idea of the environment, and then to drive his actions by this ideology. That simply disappear. There is no more big narrative of that kind. And now our approach to the person has to do with very, very minor drawings. Let me use an example. When you were a leftist people in the 70s or in the 80s, it was enough. I'm a leftist, I'm a socialist, I'm a communist. My idea of the world has to do with the struggle of classes, and the actor of the history is the working class. Very simple. Now things change dramatically. The way you are in the world is more related with other facets of your personality. I'm a white man. I'm a man. I'm maybe a gay. I'm maybe ecologist. And that kind of minor approaches are completing the image of a person. That means the idea of identity is occupying the very core of the public discourse. And for that reason, there is a current criticism on the left saying that the left has abandoned the big narratives, and instead to address to the workers is addressing part of the society in a very partial way, not being able to complete the picture. In that moment, emotions apparently are more important than analysis. Identity, nationalism, anti-scientifism, the idea of the science is not offering us the most complete and accurate image of the world, is there. You are seeing people completely convinced that the earth is flat, or that the vaccines are a kind of creation of the political elite to drive the people towards authoritarian society. And that happened. The challenge of the scientific knowledge is happening from many years ago. The vaccines and also the evolutionism. Now, in some modern democracies, is completely legitimate, introducing the education, the idea that the world was created in 7 days for one single entity called God. That means you don't need to explain the evolution of the species, of the world, because there are people that want to introduce in the education this idea. Now, for that reason, I think it's not only about the means, it's not only about the tools, it's not only about having the opportunity to spread universally one idea, it's also because we are living this period in which irrationalism is a major driving of the public sphere. And now, of course, this is the other issue: the tool. Anti-scientific ideas has been running all over the world for centuries. The question is now a simple statement made in a Twitter account by a person not having a special knowledge could really be influential for millions of persons if it's spread properly using these new tools, new communication tools, mainly the social media. Why? In my view, because there is a lack of hierarchy in the news. A simple tweet produced by a person with not having a special knowledge is competing really in the public space with the ideas exposed in a serious media made by professional journalists doing properly things, checking facts, trying to gather more sources and to complete the information. You need a lot of efforts and resources to produce a good, reliable media, a good journal like El País. But at the same time, only one single person could spread an idea without having the means, the capacities, and the time and the money to produce a very serious and reliable media. And this is a question we have to, why it's the same a Twitter made by, a footballer than a serious study made by a scientist. This is a question we have to, because that is at the core of the problem that we are dealing, and has to do with many other things like the disastrous situation of the profession of journalism. Now, what is of course, you are fully aware of that. Fake news is different than bad information. The component that made fake news relevant is not the fact that a journalist could make some mistake in one information and is passing to the readers bad information. This is not fake news. Fake news has to do with the intention of the spreading of these fact statements or ideas, because the intention of the fake news is to change the behavior of the readers. And mainly in the field I work on, it's mainly designed to change the electoral behavior of a group of people. And this is the really important thing. I remember I talked about this idea when I said the first fake news register in the mythical history of the world, it was the Adam and Eve and the apple offered by the serpent. When the serpent says to Eve, you could eat this apple, is not only with the idea of mislead Eve, is to challenge the authority of God. Then you have to believe that God is keeping the apple to him, because if you eat and you eat the apple, you are going to be eternal like God. This is the nuance. This is not about to confuse people. This is about to create a state of spirit that is going to finally drift to a change of behavior, mainly political behavior. This is our main task, to try to put the phenomenon in the political agenda, and for that reason, any tool we could use to try to uh, separate, to identify fake news is an important tool, and you are studying how to deal with this with young people, and I think this is an excellent role that you have to follow. There is a multiplication of fact checkers. I'm not sure if having so many new fact checkers is a good environment. But okay, we have to react to this phenomenon. And the first idea is, okay, let's educate the people to distinguish between fake news and real information. I think this is your task, and this is the field you are exploring to try to educate other young people on that. And this is very important. But for us, it's also to identify the intention of the fabric. No, sorry, the intention of the mind behind the spreading of fake news, and this is a question we have to deal from the political point of view. This is not about to counteract the idea of the Earth is flat. Okay, that is fake news, but it could be politically irrelevant. The question is when some introduce some doubt on the functioning of your electoral system, and it happened. And we have to identify not only who are the people behind the spreading of this fake news, but also what are the real intentions of the people spreading fake news. And this is a question to which the European Parliament devoted many hours, trying to see. Of course, we identified some factories of fake news, some of them clearly linked to the political power in Russia, in Iran, in China mainly. There are other minor subjects like Turkey and others, but we have to try to identify what is the reasoning of this political power to spread fake news, mainly fake news against or trying to depict in an unrealistic way Western world, liberal democracies, and the world we live in. This is not like it was in the past. The image and the idea of the hackers, the first hackers, you remember, well, you don't remember because you are very young, but I remember the first hackers. They tried to introduce themselves in the security systems, in the digital system, in the servers, and the only thing they did at that time is to sign, like saying, I was able to circumvent your protection system, without any other intention but to prove I'm able to broke your security system. And they sign, they let a proof that they were able to. So this like say romantic idea of the hacker has changed a lot. And we know some icons of the modern life related to this romantic idea, but playing with a very confused or blurring agenda. For example, one very important issue in the political life was the publishing of some mails stolen in the servers of the Democratic Party in the United States, mainly about Mrs. Clinton. This was not fake news. The mails were real, and the mails were hacked by Russian agents, but the Russian agents used WikiLeaks to spread information. And they used Julian Assange, very famous for the WikiLeaks related to the mainly American embassies, to spread or to publish or to put in the open light the mails of the Democratic Party or the Panama Papers. This was not fake news; they were real news. But the intention, what is the intention? These activities, fake news or publishing private information, is to create the doubt on the Western world on the capacities of our democracies. When there is some actors trying to interfere in a democratic election, like it was the case of the mails of Mrs. Clinton, is not to change the results of the opinion after the vote has been cast in the ballot boxes. No, it's to change the behavior of the people, creating doubts on the real democracy, creating doubts about the liability of the democratic institutions, or later to introduce some doubts on the legitimacy of the results. It's very difficult to read from outside the results, the figures of one elections. But the main driving of the people trying to do is not to change the numbers, is to introduce the doubt about the legitimacy of the electoral system. This is the real target. It's more damaging to create a doubt on the legitimacy that change some votes and maybe to change the election for the governor in the United States or a member of the parliament in Italy. But if you introduce in the people the doubt on the accuracy of an election, this is very damaging. And this is a thing that people investing in fake news are doing, not only addressing to us, mainly the fake news that are spread, and you can, I'm sure you are following the European Union fact-check pages related to Russia and to Ukraine and to Belarus. The fake news are there, have been identified, have been checked up, have been dismissed. But the question is if this continuous raining of fake news is not affecting the feeling of the people in the Western democracy about the legitimacy of the public institution. This is the real thing for us and for them, because if you expose your public opinion, Russia, if you expose the Russian public opinion to a continuous shower of fake news about the moral deprivation of the Western democracy, the European Union is always on the verge of collapsing, the idea that the Western world is not more an example in any way for the rest of the world concerning human rights and democracy, you are avoiding the natural movement of your public opinion to try to have the same type of society. And the fake news are addressed to us to change our behavior, and it's very useful to maintain and to keep the legitimacy of this authoritarian political system. Because if lot of Russian people really believe the depiction of the European Union, of the Western world, of the liberal democracies that they receive in the pro-Kremlin media, at the end, they are not willing to be like us. They are not considering the Western world as an example for his own society. And for that reason, I think we have to be aware of these nuances.